Hello, Big Tube. Hello, friends. Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth. Today, as I'm filming this, it is the first day of February. I've already filmed one video today, so this one will probably, hopefully, go up on February 2nd, depending on how long it takes me to get this edited. But I'm trying this month to get my wrap-up done in a more timely fashion. Sometimes I'm like a week or more getting it done, and I've got stuff to do. So today, I just thought I would go ahead and try to get at least a couple of videos filmed. So I had a really good reading month in January. I even set out to read less, and I still finished 30 books. And I had said that my goal was going to be one audiobook per day. I didn't quite make that goal, but I did finish 7 print books, even though I said I was only going to read 3 at a time. And I did for the most part. I did throw in one extra one so that I was reading 4 at a time. But I also read 170 pages of a book that I didn't finish. So even though I took the stress off of really trying to read a lot, you know, I didn't have a big stack of print books that I was trying to read all at once. And I still got as much done, I think, as I would have if I had tried to read all 7 or 8 at the same time. In fact, I've heard other people say they feel like they get more read when they just focus on, you know, 1 or 2 books at a time. And I'm sure that that's true. I don't feel like that would work for me all the time just because I'm kind of an ADD reader. There were times when I could have been reading that I was just distracted, and I can really just sit and read only a chapter or 2 of one book before I really feel that need to switch books. So that's why I like to read several at one time. But anyway, I had a great month, and I got a lot of audiobooks done out of my TBR jar and off my shelves and things like that. So let's just get into it. Like I said, a total of 30 books, 23 of them were audio, 7 were print, 4 of the books were rereads, 2 audio, 2 print, for a total of 4 rereads for various reasons. And there were 3 books I started that I carried over into February. 2 print books, 1 audio book. The audiobook was for book club. We already had that book club. I didn't get it finished, and I think I mentioned in my TBR video that I made a mess of trying to borrow it. I had the CD. I still have the CD. And I could listen to it that way. In fact, I did start it on CD. But then I thought I could get it on Libby, and I was on hold. And then I think I accidentally, like when it came available, I accidentally like pushed it back to suspend the hold. And then when I was trying to get it back, I accidentally borrowed the ebook, which I didn't need. And so now I am on hold for the electronic audiobook, but I'm like 6th in line. So I need to just keep listening to the CDs in my kitchen while I'm washing dishes or whatever. Maybe just try to do 1 disc a day or something and get that done. Oh, anyway, and that book, let me just show you what I carried over. So that book that I'm talking about for book club is the Many Daughters of Afong Moy by Jamie Ford. Our book club has read a couple of other books by him and really enjoyed them. They're okay. They didn't blow me away, the ones we've read before, which were The Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet and something else. Now I can't even think what it was. But anyway, they were fine. I enjoyed them. But I don't know. I wasn't like clamoring to read another one, but everybody else seemed to want to. So I was fine with it. And then the books I'm reading in print, I think I already mentioned World Without End by Ken Follett. This is over 1,000 pages, 1,014 pages, and I have finished reading 170 pages. So I'm at roughly 17%. And I had hoped maybe to be a little farther along, but I still think I'm farther along in this one at the end of January than I was Pillars of the Earth at the end of January. I don't think I was even close to 17% at the end of January of last year. So I'm still really happy with my progress here, and I'm enjoying the book. I will read as much as I can in February, and I'm going to just enjoy it. I'm excited. And then another book that I carried over, I'm reading this with my daughter. We're just stretching it out over a couple of months. This is The Beginner Bible, Timeless Children's Stories. It is just, scaled down Bible stories for kids. She's had this on her shelf since she was a baby, and I didn't really want to read the VeggieTales devotional book again this year after reading it 2 years in a row. And I thought, well, what other book do we have that we can kind of just chink away at, read a little bit every day? Because we're in a good habit now of reading some every day. And we picked this one. So she comes in sometimes before I even say, hey, go get your book. She comes in, and she doesn't talk currently. We're hoping she'll get her voice back at some point. But she'll come in, and I hear the tapping. That means it's reading time. So that's awesome. Okay, so let's get into what I read. So let me tell you how it breaks down. By far the biggest category that I read was Cozy Mysteries. I read 15 of them, one in print and the rest on audio. I did listen to one other mystery that would not be considered cozy, and that was for my mystery book club. I'll go ahead and show you that one, and I will save the cozy mysteries for a little while. We read The Dry by Jane Harper. I thought it was good. Again, it didn't blow me away. I was a little confused. There were a lot of characters. I should have started writing them down. I was a little bit confused, but I did not figure out the mystery. The mystery was really good. It was tough. I mean, it was what appeared to be a murder-suicide by a father. And, of course, he was getting blamed. And his, I guess, college friend, or no, just friend from childhood who has moved away, is the main character now. He has come back and was asked by the man's parents to please look into this because they just didn't believe that their son was capable of killing his family and himself. And so it was really good. I did enjoy it, and there are more books in the series, and I would definitely read them. It is this is the first book, and I think it's Aaron Falk is the main character, so it's the Aaron Falk series. So I also read or listened to 2 books on my Serious About Series list. They are Christian romances. It's a series I was working on last year and I didn't get it finished, and it's the Quilts of Love series. And I listened to 2 of these. The first one, well, I can show you the first one that I read, which is book 12, Aloha Rose by Lisa Carter. I didn't love this one. The writing style was, I don't know, peculiar maybe is a good way of saying it. I feel like I kept feeling like I was missing something, and the relationship, the growth of the relationship as it progressed, it felt like there were holes in it. It would, things seemed to be going at a nice pace, and then all of a sudden, it's like they jumped ahead a few days, and maybe they did, and I just didn't catch that on the audio. I don't know. It ended up very nice, and I did enjoy it more at the end, but the growth of the romance was, I don't know, it was strange. I don't know. The author is Lisa Carter. I've never read anything by her. I'd be curious, to read something else by her and just see if that's her style that I'm not meshing with. I don't know. But anyway, they're Christian romances, and not bad. Most of the series that I've listened to already has been very good. And then the next one that I listened to, I don't have a print copy of it, so I'll show you a picture. It's called Tempest's Course, and I didn't love it at first, but it did grow on me as the story went along. It was a little more raw than some Christian romances that I have listened to or read. And some of you might like that aspect because it was a little more realistic, perhaps, than, I've heard sometimes people complain about a Christian romance in that, they do everything perfect, they don't do anything wrong, and, everything is happy, and, and then it's over. And what's the good of that? It's not interesting. This one had some definite ups and downs. the main character, the main female character, had a past and was trying to get past her past, I guess, and it kind of came back to haunt her a little bit, and so that, you know, definitely caused some friction in the story. So anyway, I thought it was good, and I did enjoy it more by the end of the story than I thought I would. Okay, then I read 10 nonfiction books, one of which is a poetry book. And I was just saying in my last video, I'm not a poetry reader, but now already in February, I've picked up a book of poetry that was on my shelf. I had found it at a library sale. So maybe I'll try to read a book of poetry every month. I don't know. Anyway, the one I did read, it was very quick to read. It's by Ruth Bell Graham, who's the wife of Billy Graham. And these are love poems that she wrote. This one is called Reflections of a Lifelong Love. And it has a foreword by Jan Karon, who is one of my all-time favorite authors. So that's cool. And then for my devotion time, I didn't read any major devotion book for January. I did read a Journey magazine. It was an older one. And I also read the book of Luke. No, I read Luke in December. So in January, I read the book of Acts, which was written by Luke. And very much enjoyed it. Of course, it starts the journey of Paul the Apostle taking the gospel to everyone outside of the Jewish faith and, and heritage. So very interesting. And I think I'm going to go ahead now. In fact, I already did start today the first chapter in Romans. And I may just go ahead and read on through the rest of the New Testament. So the other nonfiction that I read was mostly a lot of decluttering and time management books. And I don't have physical copies of all of them. One of them was, actually 2 of them were rereads. I had not read this in several years. I think this was my 3rd time reading this one. How to Get Control of Your Time and Your Life by Alan Lakin. The other reread I read was The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning by Margareta Magnusson. And again, great book, very inspirational, really has worked to inspire me to continue my ongoing process of trying to declutter and deal with all of the extra things in my life and figure out, you know, what I can live without and all of that. Then I did listen to several other books about decluttering. One of them that I drew out of my TBR jar is not about decluttering, but along the whole time management thing, the Procrastinator's Handbook. This is by Rita Emmett. I found this on audio on Hoopla, so I was able to listen to it. I actually listened to it a couple of times. Very good, definitely worth picking up. And then the other decluttering / organizing books that I listened to, I don't have physical copies of, so let me just show you those. One of them is How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind, Dealing with Your House's Dirty Little Secrets by Dana K. White. I have another book on my Scribd list by her that I want to read, and I don't think I got to it yet, but I did check another book by her out from the library, and I'll show it to you. I have not read this one yet, but I just picked it up today. Organizing for the Rest of Us, 100 Realistic Strategies to Keep Any House Under Control. And it's by Dana K. White. So then the ones that I did listen to, another one is by Deborah Robertson. It's called Declutter, the Get Real Guide to Creating Calm from Chaos. And all of these are pretty short. You know, there's not a lot of, I mean, you can only give these tips and tricks. You can only spend so much time, you know, rehashing the same information, but I still find them inspirational and I enjoy them and I always glean something from them. So another one that I listen to is called Unstuffed, Decluttering Your Home, Mind, and Soul by Ruth Soukup. And that was enjoyable as well. So I think that is all of the decluttering books. Now, another book that I pulled out of my TBR jar, my nonfiction TBR jar, was one that I had bought on Book Outlet when my children were younger. I never got to it. I did find it on audio, so I listened to it, and it was good. I would recommend it for a mom of tween girls. It's, you know, I'm past that now, but still it is a book that I would recommend. It's called Mom's Ultimate Guide to the Tween Girl World by Nancy Rue. So I'm going to be adding this to my eBay store since it's a practically new book, and you know, maybe someone out there will want it. Another book I picked up just kind of spur of the moment, I guess because I was going through books that I need to send to my sister. I've been building a box to send her for months now, and I thought, oh, she would probably like this, and I thought, well, I better read it first before I send it to her, so now I can add this to the box and hopefully get her box sent this month. This is Patchwork of Love, Creating Friendships Piece by Piece, and this is a beautiful book. Let me show it to you. It's not long, and it has some beautiful quilt photos and images, and it was very enjoyable. So, Charlotte, if you're watching this, you will get this in your box when and if I ever get it mailed. And I think that is all of the non-fiction. All right, I did read one Newbery winner, and I mentioned this in my mid-month wrap-up. This was interesting. I felt like the author didn't follow the rules. You know how when you're writing a book, you sort of set the parameters of what is going to be possible in your story. You know, there's a formula, and you've got to figure out which direction you're going to take. So this is a story about a doll who's writing her memoir. And it's called Hitty, Her First 100 Years by Rachel Field. It was from the 1930s, and it's a Newbery winner. And let me just say, I did end up enjoying it by the time I got to the end. I keep saying that on this video. You know, these books are starting out slow, and then they finally start to grow on me. Okay, so I did enjoy it, ultimately. By the end, I think I ended up rating it 4 stars. Although, first 2/3, I would have said, I'm going to give this book 3 stars. Because it was just sluggish, and I didn't want to pick it up. It wasn't compelling. I just was not enjoying it. By the end, things picked up, and I was enjoying it more. But the weird thing about it is that Hitty obviously could think and observe, but she would say, you know, she was stuck in whatever position someone would put her in, and, you know, she would lament that she couldn't see outside if she was stuck in a box and all of that. But then there was this one time kind of early on that she got left in the church building. She wasn't supposed to be carried to church, and she got dropped or something happened. I can't remember the details now. But anyway, so someone comes in the church building, I think, and they're looking for her, and she like concentrated as hard as she could and like was able to shuffle her foot enough. I think maybe somebody was in there cleaning. I don't know. She was trying to get their attention, so it ended up kind of scaring them, and they left. Well, yeah. Yeah, understandably so. So, you know, could she move or couldn't she? She's obviously at the end of 100 years writing a memoir. How is she writing? If she couldn't just move her body all the time, how can she do it now? And I don't know. I felt like the author would have her able to do things when it was convenient to the story, but when she didn't want her to be able to do something, then she couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I feel like she kind of broke the rules, and there was not an established guideline of what Hitty could and couldn't do. And that's why it kind of bothered me. But, you know, if I was reading this as a child, I'm sure I wouldn't be overthinking it like I am. I would just enjoy the story. But also, some of the adventures that she went on, I think, would have kind of gone over my head as a child. So, I don't know. It did get a Newbery Award, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best book in the world. There are plenty of Newbery winners that are not that great, at least in my opinion. But, I don't know. I think I expected a little more from it than this, and I just didn't love it. But in the end, it did pick up speed. It did get pretty interesting, and I ended up still rating it 4 stars. Okay, then the other one that I read that is not a cozy mystery was for the Follow Us to Fair Acre read along that's hosted by Kate Howe. I was able to be on her live stream in January. Very much enjoyed it. And we read The Fair Acre Festival, which is just a little short book. I was kind of thankful that it was short because I had a lot going on, and I was able to squeeze it in, and it was great. I did enjoy this, and I'm happy that I read it. This was my first time reading this one. I had read the first 6 books in the Fair Acre series previously, and I have now since then reread a couple of them for the discussions, but I have not read anything past this. So I'm looking forward to continuing with the series for the first time. Okay, I think that is everything except for Cozy Mysteries. So I had a couple of goals with Cozy Mysteries this past month. I wanted to read and listen to some of the books for the ABC challenge that I'm just continuing on from last year. And so for the letters H, I, J, K, I listened to H, I, and J on audio. For H, I listened to Hearse and Buggy by Laura Bradford. This is book 1 in her Amish mystery series. And I plan to go ahead and continue and probably listen to the rest of this series in April for Amish in April. And then I reread The Inspector and Mrs. Jeffries by Emily Brightwell, simply because that was really the only I book I could find. And on Goodreads, it looked like I hadn't read it anyway, because when I did read the first 3 books, I marked, the book that I marked as read on Goodreads was a bind up of the first 3 books, which I do own, and I don't own them individually. And apparently my library doesn't have the first book either, so I'll have to show you a picture of the first book, The Inspector and Mrs. Jeffries. So then for J, I listened to Jane Darrowfield, Professional Busybody. This is by Barbara Ross, and I really did enjoy this. It was a lot of fun, and I like the fact that Jane Darrowfield called herself a busybody and not a detective or a sleuth or anything like that. It was a cute story. It took place in a retirement community, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And then I read in print Killer Crab Cakes. This is the last book I finished on the last day of the month. I did stay up past midnight to finish it, and I was falling asleep, but I did get it finished. I did not see the murderer. I did not figure out the mystery, and I thought it was very good. The premise of The Fresh Baked Mysteries by Olivia J. Washburn is that there is a group of retired school teachers all living together in one house. It is owned by Phyllis Newsome, who is a retired teacher herself, and she has invited some of her friends to come and live with her since she's been widowed. That way she's not, bumping around in a big house all by herself, and she invited some of her other friends to board at her home. And in this book, they have taken a trip to the Gulf Coast of Texas and are minding a bed and breakfast for Phyllis's cousin. And of course, murder follows, and there's actually a couple of murders in this book. So because Phyllis has been solving murders and mysteries in her hometown of Weatherford, Texas, which is a real town, now murder has followed her to the Gulf. And also there is a baking contest. Her and one of her other friends are in constant competition for baking contests, and it just adds for a friendly competition and adds a different kind of a fun dynamic to their relationship. So I enjoyed this very much. And then speaking of baking, I also listened to 2 of the Cupcake Bakery Mysteries by Jen McKinley. We're doing this series as well as the Library Lovers and the Hat Shop Mysteries as a read-along, all in publication order. And if you have not joined in and you still want to, the discussion threads for this read-along, it's going to take all year, and we're only going to get about 2/3 of them read because we're reading 2 a month. But it's on a Discord group called Melmac's Buddy Reads, and Melmac is also one of the members of the Kill Time with Cozies group, but she has her own Discord where she does a lot of buddy reads. So this read-along discussion is on her Discord channel, and I will leave it linked down below. So the first 2 books in the series are Sprinkle with Murder and Buttercream Bump Off. These were not perfect. There were issues with both of these that I did not like, but overall I still enjoyed them, and I definitely want to continue the series. And if you want to see my further thoughts, then join our discussion on Melmac's Discord. Okay, then from my series TBR jar, I drew out the Mainly Needlepoint series by Lee Waite, and I ended up listening to all of them. Now, this first book I had some major issues with. It was not super cozy. There were some issues that I thought were, it could possibly be triggering for some people, and the minister in the book collected Ouija boards. Now, tell me what kind of minister that is that collects Ouija boards. Certainly not any Christian minister that I know, but thankfully not a lot more was said about him and his collections. It was mentioned every once in a while through the rest of the series, and I did enjoy the rest of the series much more than the first book. So I did go ahead and finish the series. I only own 2 of them. I own that first one, and I own book 8, but I listened to all 9 of them on Hoopla, and I did enjoy most of the books in the series. So book 2 is Threads of Evidence, and then book 3 is Thread and Gone. Sorry, I think my husband just got home, and so you can hear the dog barking there. Dangling by a Thread. The next one is Tightening the Threads. The next one is Thread the Halls. And then Thread Herrings. Yeah, Thread Herrings. And then this one I own, Thread on Arrival. And then the last one, Thread and Buried. So overall, I would recommend the series. Just know that that first book has some problematic issues. I mean, there was just some things that I didn't love that kind of made it not really cozy. But after that, I did really enjoy the rest of the series. So that is everything that I read in the month of January. And I think I'm going to end the video here. And I hope to be back soon with some Little House related videos, because in just a few days, we will be starting the Little House Readathon, which goes February 7th through the 10th. And I am super excited for the books that I have picked out to read. I hope that you're going to participate. And meanwhile, I'm going to listen to some classic romances from Debbie Maycumber for the Retro Romance Readathon that's hosted by Storm from Storm Reads and Sarah the Bookish Knitter. So let's chat in the comments. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.